influence this weekend really has to do with the self, really has to do with liberating ourselves from our personal self, really has to do with liberating ourselves from our personal mythology, liberating ourselves from our torture. Okay, I'm wearing my Medusa thistle and spire, what is this, bodysuit. And the thing about it that came through in this message for me is, how do we make ourselves the monster? How have we allowed other people's thoughts, feelings, words, curses that were put on us? How did we go into agreement with those things, right? How did we align ourselves with other people's thoughts, feelings, desires for us? How did we go into agreement with that? And how did we allow, in quotation marks, that to impact our affluence, our divine right for affluence and influence? That to me is the energy of, really, even though this is like a weekend reading, this to me is the energy of really the rest of Scorpio season and into the beginning of Sagittarius. Because of course, once we get into the Archer season, right, we get into the place of visioning, we get into the place of wonder, we get into the realm of the magician, where we bring heaven down to earth, as above, so below. But before we can, and for me, it's like so hard to talk about affluence while there's an actual genocide happening. I talked about that on my other channel. And what's happening in the Sudan and the Congo. It's really hard. Like when I pulled this card, I was like, oh, how like irresponsible to be talking about this. But then Spirit was like, no, because affluence is influence. Affluence is influence, okay? We can give our little $5, $10, $100, whatever, to causes that we like. But to really shift reality, to really change the vibration of things, to really transform things, we do need to have a certain level of affluence or influence or proximity to those that have it. Right. And for me, it is really hard. And I talk about this a lot with my students. Did I say my name was Zoe Flowers? I didn't even introduce myself. So I'm a tarot teacher, blah, blah, blah. So, but one of the things I talk about, because one of my students said years ago, like one of my Reiki students said, why is it so hard for me to, as a Black woman, to manifest, whereas you have people like Paul Selig, who I love Paul Selig. I've been to his workshops. I have his books. But his story was like, he was an atheist. He went up on a rooftop. He was at a party in New York. Lightning struck him. All of a sudden, now he's like a spiritual guru. And so my student was like, how is it that, you know, us people of color, we have such a hard time manifesting things? And for me, I said, because because of our history, because these things live in our DNA, there is a certain level of shame, guilt, confusion, not knowing our bloodline, not knowing where we really come from, all of these things. And then just the education, just everything, right? It's really hard to manifest if you don't have a deep feeling that you deserve it. And one thing I know is that our white, Caucasian presenting people in the world, particularly in America, because that's where I am, so that's what I'm going to talk about, they have a sense of belonging, even if they're poor, right? They have a sense of belonging. They have, not all, most have a sense of belonging and deserving, that people of color, also women identified people, right, really have to like strive and really overcome. And so that's why sometimes it's hard for us to manifest, right? And so this affluence card, even though I had a at first, it makes perfect sense to me. And for people who have issues with money, sorry about that. I hope you get over it. But for people who have, you know, if it's better for you to look at affluence as like relationships with your family and all of those things, fine, right? Wherever you are. If you like it, I love it. But To me, this is about tapping into your internal power. I don't pull this card often, so I do want to read, and thank you to the people who are hanging out. I do want to read here. Okay, so it says affluence. Wealth in all forms is available to you now. You are rich on all accounts. Drawing this card invites you to feel the abundant flow of having all that you need on a material and spiritual plane. If you are inquiring about a situation or relationship, this certainly indicates that there is much to be experienced here. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. We love that. You are being provided for and rewarded. Okay, so this is the Sri Yantra. I actually have this in my house. I might have just taken it down, actually. This is a symbol of Hindu Tantra, which is based on the Hindu philosophy of Shaktism. So this is the vibe. What is your mythology? What is your ethos? What have you been telling yourself about your right to be affluent? Might need some chakra work this weekend, right? Some root chakra work. Maybe even some sacral chakra work. This would be a good weekend for that, because if you have a little root chakra confusion where you don't feel like you belong, asked to join the live by accident. If you don't feel like you belong, right, on the planet, because a lot of us come into this and it's going to be hard to manifest, right? So this is a weekend to turn that around. What can help us to turn it around? I wanted to go to my herbal astrology deck for that, and what I got was psilocybin for people who are interested in that. And the energy around this is communing. So again, this is a weekend of deep communing. The veil is still thin. We still have time. Our ancestors are still here. They are still close. So we have time to commune with them and ourselves. This might require taking a little bit of a pause. That's what this winter card is about, pulling back from other people, from other things this weekend, particularly on Sunday, because this psilocybin resonates to the sun, and the sun rules Sunday. For those of you that don't know that, the days of the week are named after... I just lost my train of thought because that thing came through, are named after planets and gods. Okay. And so psilocybin resonates to that and to Pluto. So here we are, Pluto with that transformation. And we know that the earth is going through a lot of transformation right now. And then we have intuition. So we're pausing, we're looking at our own mythos, how we've become the monster to ourselves, how have we cut our own self off, hence Medusa, right? So, and how can we tap into our intuition with scrying here? So maybe even doing some scrying or doing some tarot if you are into that kind of thing, so that we can ultimately create from the ashes. This card, this skull of flowers, literally is about creating from the ashes, right? Creating something new after everything has burned down. So we have a lot of power, even if we don't feel like we do. And if you are feeling powerless right now, please dig into your own mythos, your own, how you've pathologized yourself, how you've been a monster to yourself, and work this weekend to unearth those things so that you can tap into your intuition, so that you can create from the ashes, right? We can create even when things burn down. So that is what I have for you. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you next time. Bye.